The story begins with a young girl's voice recounting a disturbing event that shook her hometown 2 years earlier. Many people died under strange circumstances, yet the authorities suppressed the truth, a shame that they couldn't solve the mystery. We then transition to what appears to be a typical morning at an elementary school. A new teacher named Justine Gandy enters her classroom, only to be met with a chilling discovery. Every student is missing, except for one boy named Alex. The reason? The previous night, exactly at 2:17 a.m., all the other children rose from their beds, stretched out their arms, and vanished into the night. This baffling event stuns the entire community and triggers an intense investigation. But no answers come. Both Alex and Justine are interrogated repeatedly, but each insists they have no idea what happened. The school is closed for a month, but eventually the town decides to reopen it. On the evening before classes resume, a town meeting is called, and that's when the real story begins. We now shift to Justine's perspective as she sits quietly among the townspeople during the tense gathering. When she takes the stage, she confesses that she's as lost as everyone else and is yearning for an explanation. But rather than compassion, her words stir anger. The parents begin blaming her, accusing her of being at fault since only her class was affected. Principal Marcus stands up for her, trying to defuse the situation, but things escalate quickly. Justine is rushed out of the building as Marcus tries to hold back the hostile crowd. At home, Justine gets no peace either. Strangers bang on her door, ring her bell, and vanish before she can see them. Furious and frightened, she arms herself with pepper spray and storms outside, but no one's around. That's when she notices her car has been defaced with the word "witch" spray painted across it. The following day, Marcus advises Justine to stay away from school for a while, as many parents are still furious. She's upset by this and asks to at least speak to Alex, but Marcus declines. He says the boy's already been through too much, questioned by police, pressured by neighbors, and it's best to leave him alone. Later that evening, Justine meets up with her ex-boyfriend Paul, a police officer, at a bar. She vents her frustrations, and Paul reassures her that the townspeople are just grieving. They don't truly hate her. The next morning, Paul wakes up in her bed, implying they spent the night together, despite the fact he's married. Later that day, Justine secretly follows Alex home from school. After he goes inside, she rings the doorbell, but no one answers. She peers around the house and notices that every window is covered with newspapers. Through a small opening, she catches a glimpse of Alex's parents sitting frozen and eerily silent. Disturbed, she calls Marcus to report what she saw, but he's furious that she disobeyed him and spied on the boy's home. The next day, Justine approaches Alex directly and tries to talk, but he snaps at her not to follow him and storms into the house. Desperate, she knocks on the door again, but gets no response. She waits in her car, eventually falling asleep. At some point, a woman exits the house, walking stiffly, holding a pair of scissors, and enters Justine's vehicle. The woman simply snips a lock of her hair and leaves. The focus then shifts to Archer, the father of a missing boy named Matthew. He's obsessed with the night his son disappeared and endlessly rewatches the security footage, hoping for a clue. We revisit the town meeting from earlier, where it's revealed that Archer was the first to accuse Justine, sparking the mob's rage. We also see him following her home, and he's the one who vandalized her car. The next morning, as Archer prepares for work, he notices a strange tower in the direction Matthew ran off. This inspires him to study the map of the town and trace his son's route. Later, he visits another parent of a missing child and watches their security footage too. He adds more lines to the map, theorizing a central meeting point. That afternoon, Archer sees Justine at a gas station and confronts her. But their argument is cut short when Justine notices Marcus running toward her, covered in blood, arms outstretched. Marcus lunges, forcing him to step in and wrestle the man. Justine runs into a convenience store to hide. We then follow Paul's perspective. While on patrol, he spots a suspicious man lurking in a neighborhood. When he follows him, it becomes clear the man is trying to break into a home. Paul gives chase through the streets, eventually catching him. The man, who calls himself James, claims he lives there but lost his keys. Paul doesn't buy it. During the search, Paul pricks his finger on a needle hidden in James's pocket and in a rage punches him. Realizing his dash cam recorded the assault, Paul cuts a deal. He'll let James go if he promises to disappear and never come back. Later, Paul receives a text from Justine and meets her at the bar, leading to the night they spend together. The next day, James unexpectedly shows up near the police station. Fearing exposure, Paul shouts at him, causing James to flee. Paul chases him down, this time disabling his dash cam first. We now jump to James's side of the story. He's agitated and out of drugs. Desperate for cash, he breaks into a house, which turns out to be Alex's. Finding the place quiet, he assumes it's empty. But soon he runs into Alex's parents, who stare blankly without reacting. Relieved, James grabs food and prepares to leave, but then hears something from the basement. He investigates and is horrified to find all the missing kids, standing lifeless and trance-like. Terrified, James runs, chased by Alex's parents, until he escapes. The next day, he visits a pawn shop and notices a flyer offering $50,000 for tips about the missing children. Tempted, he calls the hotline, claiming to know their whereabouts, but is told he must come to the station. Reluctantly, he agrees. On the way, he's spotted by Paul and flees again, running deep into the woods where he's been camping. There he encounters a creepy red-haired woman waving at him, which sends him retreating into his tent. Moments later, someone approaches. James grabs his needles, stabs the intruder, but it's Paul. Enraged and wounded, Paul aims his gun, but James blurts out the truth. He knows where the children are. Paul is skeptical, but James convinces him. They drive to Alex's home, and Paul leaves James in the car. He's led into the house, but hours pass and he doesn't return. Eventually, Paul comes out, but instead of helping James, he drags him back into the house. We now follow Marcus again. He's on the phone with Justine, who begs him to check on Alex. Marcus declines but agrees to speak to the boy's parents at school. Instead, he's met by Gladys, a woman we recognize from the woods, who claims to be Alex's aunt. She says his parents are sick and can't leave home. When Marcus threatens to involve child services, Gladys becomes visibly irritated. The next evening, Marcus and his partner Terry are at home when Gladys shows up, asking for water. Terry lets her in, and she oddly requests a bowl instead of a glass. She then pulls out a ribbon-covered branch from the principal's office, slices her hand, and takes a lock of Terry's hair. Marcus tries to call 911, but she rings a bell, sending him into a trance. She binds Terry's hair to the branch and snaps it, triggering Marcus to violently kill him. She then wraps Justine's hair around another branch, and Marcus goes into a frenzy. He sprints through the streets and finds Justine at the gas station. Archer intervenes but is injured in the struggle. Justine escapes into the store. Marcus follows, and after another attack, he's finally run over, his skull crushed in brutal fashion. Later in the hospital, Justine visits Archer to thank him. He shares how his son also ran away the same way, with arms out. He shows her the map, and she realizes Alex's house sits at the intersection of all the paths. We then see Alex's side. Bullied at school by Matthew, he returns home one day to learn his Aunt Gladys is moving in. That night, he sees her outside. The next day, he peeks into her room, spotting a wig and a strange plant, and a frail woman watching him. After school, his parents fail to pick him up. He walks home and finds them sitting eerily still, speaking in robotic tones. Meanwhile, Gladys appears healthy. She warns him not to speak about her or his parents' condition. When he doesn't comply, she performs a violent ritual. Scared, Alex promises silence. In the days that follow, Alex goes to school while caring for his comatose parents, feeding them soup. One night, he finds Gladys weak again. She admits draining his parents' life energy wasn't enough and asks him to gather something from each classmate. In hope that she'll leave afterward, he agrees. He steals the name tags of all 17 students and gives them to her. That night at 2:17 a.m., she rings a bell, and all the kids rise and walk toward his house. Gladys begins feeding off them too. Later, Alex sees Paul and James enter the house, now entranced. Gladys says they're leaving soon and warns him not to cross a salt line drawn around his parents. Outside, Justine and Archer watch from a distance. Paul appears and invites them in, but when Justine crosses the salt line, the possessed men attack. Upstairs, Alex's parents turn violent too. He locks himself in a room, then a bathroom, where he grabs a branch and Gladys's wig. Archer and James fight in the basement, where Archer sees the missing kids. Justine wounds Paul with a slicer and shoots him. James nearly kills Archer, but Justine shoots him too. Archer goes downstairs and looks for his son. Just then, out of the darkness, Aunt Gladys springs out and curses Archer. In the kitchen, Justine sees Archer coming at her. He grabs her and starts to choke the life out of her. With his parents breaking in, Alex performs the ritual. Gladys senses danger. The kids pour from the basement, chase her through fences and houses, and finally tear her apart. Archer snaps out of the trance. Justine finds Alex holding his still catatonic parents. Archer finds the children in a bloody circle. In the final scene, the narrator explains that Alex left town to live with a kind aunt. His parents are still being cared for, though not by him. Some kids have even started speaking again. And that wraps up Weapons. A story where the real horror isn't just what you see, but what takes control when you're not looking. The witch's curse may have ended in Maybrook, or maybe she's still out there, slipping into someone new. If you enjoyed the breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and share your theories below. Until next time, keep your lights low and watch who's really behind those eyes. 5-star recap gives this movie a 4 out of 5 stars. Very creepy and original film. Why stop now? Check out some more movie recaps. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.